Hey guys, Carl here, Cultivate with Carl, and it's time for your bi-weekly garden update. And we have had a lot go on in the garden since we last spoke because we waited a couple weeks for some things to develop. Here in the fall, we're putting things together. We're getting the beds prepared. We've done a lot of work over the last week and a half, moving a lot of dirt, getting things planted, and now things are starting to sprout. We actually even have some bug pressure that we didn't have before. I'll show you that in just a minute. But we have a lot to see on the tour, so let's get started. Okay guys, here in the old potato bed, the bed that was my first bed, this was the one that we filled up with all the horse manure on the bottom, commercial dirt and compost in the middle, then another layer of horse manure, then a layer of my compost. And I really thought that this year this would not be a good bed to grow in because it had so much fresh horse manure in it. So what I decided to do was just plant a cover crop. And the purpose of the cover crop, depending on which one you pick, I used black-eyed peas. Now, the thing about this was I didn't order them from Johnny Seed or anywhere like that. I just went to the store and bought the Great Value half bag of black-eyed peas. And then I came and made some rows, sprinkled them in, and then covered them up with a little bit of compost, some wood chips, and then it rained, and here we are. This is like 4 days of growth. So the goal in having a cover crop will be for this to grow up and block out any weeds, and for it to also help adjust the soil, because a lot of that horse manure has yet to break down. And so between now and let's say March, these will not last till March. These will last till first frost, which is going to be mid to late December. But once they start to die off, we're just going to chop them in place. Pea plants, they lock nitrogen into their roots, so the roots will be down there with extra nitrogen in them, and all this organic matter will go to fertilize the bed. Probably in the spring, come February 14th, this is going to be the potato bed again. I would imagine by then a lot of the stuff that we put in there is going to have broke down. We'll come back across the top with some soil with compost mix, and this should be a good potato bed for next spring. So that's the goal. But we'll keep track of these. You know, who knows, we may get some pea pods off of them. If we do, we'll snap the pea pods off, use the peas for cover crop next year. I don't really anticipate eating them. I have in my dry storage, like, about 20 jars of beans. So I don't think I need much more. They serve the purpose better right now as a cover crop. So there you go. Let's move on to the next bed. Okay guys, in this bed I've decided to do broccoli on this side, cauliflower on this side. And I've got both of these brands, or both of these varieties from Hoss Tools. And basically on this side we have a Godzilla broccoli. It's supposed to get really big and produce a lot of good broccoli. And I already have two of the upstarts coming. I put them in the ground just a few days ago. This one hasn't made an appearance yet, but that's okay. Over here I can see my cauliflower, which is a twister cauliflower. And I've got one, two, also coming up over there. So the risk that I have in sowing them this early is that they could bolt, because we're still dealing with days that are 90 degrees. The heat index is still hovering around 100. Okay, move on, Squirrel Patrol. So they could bolt. Well, that's okay. What we'll do if they bolt, we'll just take them out. We'll put in some new ones. I'm thinking about actually starting some inside just in case. I'll have some replacements. Here I have my backup tomatoes, which are doing a lot better than the tomatoes I have over in the buckets. We'll see in a minute. But I've got some determinate varieties in here, celebrity tomatoes. I have one Hossinator and one giant, it was called Giant Garden Leader Monster Tomato. And hopefully I was trying to get some fall tomatoes since our weather stays warm. Now, according to Farmer's Almanac, we're supposed to get a very cold fall, winter, so that may put a hitch in my giddy up as far as it goes with the bed with this fall garden. But our first frost date is usually around between December 1st and December 15th. So we really should have no problem in getting good production out of all these beds. Plus our winters here in 9A, Mississippi Gulf Coast, our winters here are usually pretty mild. So I can see the broccolis coming up, the cauliflowers coming up, and it'll be just a game now of keeping the bugs away. So let's look over here at the potato bed. Okay guys, here in the potato bed, we have, these were leftover potatoes from the, or seed potatoes from the spring bed last year. And what I did was I came in and put in 2 rows of Nordic Reds and 2 rows of Kennebecs. Well, so what happened was, it's kind of ironic that Ruby's here. I had come through and I planted all potatoes. Then it rained, like we had like all kind of tropical rain here for about a week and a half. So I knew that some of the potatoes would be rotten because the bed was really wet. So I came back through and I dug up each individual potato, and then found that the majority of the Nordic Reds were rotted out. So I replaced them. Turns out that the Kennebecs weren't, not as many had fallen victim to the dampness as the Nordic Reds. So I went in, replaced them. Then the next day I came out, and right about here was a giant crater. And the potato that was in where that crater was supposed to be was missing. And so I went on a tirade and blamed raccoons and all my world problems on other animals. And then the next day, that potato was nowhere to be found. The next day I come out, and right next to the bed is the missing potato and good old Squirrel Patrol Ruby looking kind of guilty. So I went ahead and replaced that potato, covered her back up. Now I'm starting to get some potato sprouts. Here's 1, 2, there's 3 over there, and then I can kind of see a little bit of green. But when I went through the bed, I kind of sifted through the soil a little bit and found that most of them, like here's one barely sprouting right here, most of them were in the midst of growing and sprouting up. So we'll see what happens. The goal with this bed was just to get some more seed potatoes for the spring. And if I have to order, that's fine. These would be Gen 2 potatoes, and they may not do as well as the Gen 1 potatoes. So we'll see what happens. This is a good loose soil in here though. I made sure that when I made this bed, that there was, I knew I was going to put potatoes in here. So I broke up the soil really good. When I added some soil to it, I made sure that I had sifted it out and made sure that it was good and loose, so the potatoes would have a chance to spread out and grow. So it looks like we're doing okay. Here's one. And then there are others. The others are in here, and they should be doing okay. My goal is not to overwater these like I did last year. All right, one. All right, guys, here in the pepper beds, the jalapenos are still producing like champions. Here you can see we've got some leaf miner damage. And I've been having a little bit of damage on these all the way through. Those could be eggs, no telling. This discoloration, I believe to be mineral problems. So I went ahead last week and I fed these, and they look better than they did. Some of these were suffering from leaves falling off, but see these here, these peppers are fresh. More jalapenos, of course. The jalapenos are doing real good. This one looks like it's ready to go, so I'll have to pick that one off. I don't really wait for them to turn red or anything like that. I just go ahead and get them. So some of the other plants are not doing as well. This here looks like some sort of mineral deficiency. Something's not going right. If you've seen this before, go ahead and comment down in the comments below. This is supposed to be a snackable red, which has given me a lot of miniature, miniature sweet peppers, and that's what they're supposed to be. And the plant's done pretty well, but I have no idea why it's looking like this. Could be the heat, could be mineral problems. This is another bell pepper variety that I don't believe has ever provided a single pepper. Let's move on down the line. Here we have These were the shishitos, or no, these are the sweet peppers. And for some reason, all the leaves fell off. And now they're growing back. But they don't look like they're doing too well. And yesterday, I cut some banana peppers off of them. That's exactly what these are. These are banana peppers. And you can see all the banana pepper plants have the same thing going on with them. All the leaves fell off. Now they're all growing back. I never did see anything like caterpillars or anything like that in the plant beds. So, I don't know. For sure, the jalapenos are winners. They're doing pretty well. We got this cool one right here. I don't even know what this is. That is pretty neat. And sign says giant Marconi. Now that was the Marconi plant right there. This for sure is not the Marconi plant. Here are the shishitos. The shishitos are looking pretty wicked. I don't know. They haven't been putting on any plants lately, but it's been really hot. Any peppers. Like I said, it's been really hot. And then these were supposed to be yellow bell peppers. I don't want to, I think I haven't gotten any off of these. So I don't know. So that's the pepper bed. You know, got a big old thing of mushrooms in there that have died off. But this bed, by far, the most prolific bed that's provided me good stuff all year. Okay guys, here with the pepper bed. The pepper bed has been my best producer all year long. And so maybe I haven't kept up with the feeding as well as I should have. I believe the watering's been pretty consistent, but there's some kind of mineral problem going on there with the leaves turning yellow. So I'm gonna hit it. I hit it last week with some fish emulsion. I think I'm gonna hit it again with something a little bit more, with a little bit more nitrogen in it this time, and see if we can get those plants to perk back up. Now the plan is to get my most successful plants out of there, which are gonna be the shishitos and the jalapenos, and I'm gonna transfer them over to pots so that I can overwinter them in the house. And then if I get the right mix going on, I'll be able to just bring them out next year and they can live on in pots and produce peppers year after year. So that's a good thing you can do with your pepper plants. I just have to do a little bit more research and make sure that I do it right so I don't kill them off when the time comes. So that's it for the peppers. The thing I've learned about the peppers that I really wanted were bell peppers, and I didn't get those because maybe I picked the wrong plants or the wrong varieties for my area. But I did get a lot of the shishito peppers, which were good for spicing things up. And I did get a lot of jalapeno peppers, which are also good. And then you can okay, right here we have 3 new cucumber plants. And these were given to me by Howard. And he had already had them growing in cups. And when I got them, they were a little bit root bound in the cup. So I went ahead and I broke up the soil. I put them in good soil. So there's a lot of good nutrients in this soil. I mixed in a little fertilizer and stuff, and it's not too packed in. So what we're seeing is that we're having some leaf miner damage right here. I may pop these 2 leaves off, but they're starting to flower, which I think it's too early for these guys to be flowering. I don't think they're developed enough. So I may go ahead and pick these flowers off. But they just started recovering from the transplant, and now they're sending out their tendrils, and they've started climbing the fence, and that's what I want them to do. The leaf miners are really beating this plant up down here, and it looks a little bit stunted. Maybe we'll hit them with some nitrogen again, you know, and some fish emulsion, and give them a little boost. So hopefully the plan will be, as it, you know, before it cools down too much, they'll shoot up the fence and give us some more cucumbers again before the winter sets in. All right, in the pot row back here, and I say pot row, not meaning pots, but you know, grow bags. Here we have potato. This should be a russet potato. It has grown. This potato looked like it grew, but maybe it's not gonna make it. We have rosemary, and letting that grow out, so when I put steaks in the old grill, it'll, you know, on the griddle it'll do good. Here's another potato, another russet. This is a tomato plant. This can be a celebrity tomato. And celebrities are a determinate. And so this should just grow up, pop out tomatoes, and then kick off, and that'd be it. You can see we got a cicada hull here. So cicadas came out. These are more potatoes. And then I don't know what happened to the potato that was in here in the middle. Maybe it rotted out also. So I don't know. Yeah, don't know. We'll have to see. Here's another potato. This is another russet right here. And then this was a celebrity tomato that is not doing good. Probably will get replaced with one from the spare parts bucket. And then over here we had the Haussinator tomato plant. Again, not doing well. That thing's done. So we'll get the spare, put them in there. In this one we put cabbage. So we got a little cabbage plant coming up. And then I made a mistake here. And this was a potato bucket. And I forgot that there were potatoes in there. And I put these Tom multiplying onions in here. And what happened was I got these, and then they said let them put them in a cool dark place, and I did. And then so they got all dry looking. I thought they were dead, so they ended up spilling into one of the garden beds, and then lo and behold they started to resprout. Well, so what I hope to do, because I don't believe these can survive in the same bucket because they're both high nitrogen feeders, I'll probably have to relocate these into another bed, and you'll see, I'll show you the bed where I have them, but I want the potatoes to stay in here, and then we'll just keep going from there. So, but the Tom multiplying onions, now my understanding, these were a variety grown out of Georgia. They had disappeared for a while, and it turned out that some guy had them on his farm, and he was growing them. So the person I got these from, they got them, and basically they'll grow a little, you know, this was one individual onion. It will grow a clump of onions, like a garlic kind of, sort of. You spritz it off, you put one back in, you eat the others. So there you go. The old eggplant plant is doing well. I have been producing several eggplants during the season. This one does not look too hot, but it is still producing, and I'm still giving them away because I have not been eating them. I'll have to develop some cooking skills, but hey, I'm pumped up that you can do eggplants. So in this bucket right here, I've got carrots, and they're not sprouting yet, but we're keeping that top layer moist, keeping it covered. Oh, there's one. I see one, two. So what we're going to do, you can see the carrots starting to come up right here. So what I will do is I'm going to keep this covered a little bit more, and then probably in a day or so I'll come check on it, and then we'll see what we're going to do. All right, here is my secondary pea bed for my Kentucky pole beans, and you can see that the leaf miners are whipping up on these plants. These plants I transplanted from the bed over there, and they do not appear to be doing as well. So you'll see when we get over there, we've had some bug damage. We've had bug damage in both beds, actually. Over here it appears to be leaf miners. Over there it appears to be the cabbage caterpillars, the little green ones. And so I had to resort to spraying BT on that bed over there so that we could kill off the caterpillars, and we're going to assess how that worked out. But if you can look here, like we'll zoom in on this plant right here, you can see the leaf miner damage. I may have to come in and put on some, yeah, I don't know, some BT or some neem oil. But 3 of these plants transplanted well. Oh, there you go. And then that one, not so well. It seemed like the 2 on the end, for some reason, it just didn't make it. And then right there, you have, that is my last attempt at doing a Kellogg's breakfast tomato plant. Maybe we'll see if we can get it to grow here in the fall as we're going into cooler temperatures, because as soon as the heat came on, those Kellogg's breakfast tomato plants really just did not do anything. So let's move over to the other pea bed. We'll just move on up here. Oh yeah, caterpillar damage, oh plenty. All right guys, here is the caterpillar damage. The caterpillars appear to be gone. And that's because I sprayed the plant here with BT last night at dusk. But you can see the damage they did to the leaves. And I believe what they were trying to do is make like little cocoons out of the plants, out of the leaves. But they've gotten back there on top of the oregano too. And so, but this is typical. You can see where they chomped and then they folded the leaves over. And then last night when you would roll these over, they were actually the caterpillars in there. I squished a bunch of them. Then I went ahead and got the BT out. But these were my top crop bush beans, and hopefully we'll get a crop out of them. They seem to be doing okay, except for the caterpillar damage. Oh, wait, I think there's a caterpillar right here. And there is. Let's see. And he appears to be not living. So, good job, BT, doing your job. So there you go. Those are the Kentucky pole beans over there. And they're starting to grow. I mean, everything's starting to grow really well. It's not really climbing up the trellis like I thought it would. This poor plant right here got whooped up. Look at that poor little thing. And the leaf miners did a number on it. I mean, they don't have enough leaves now for me to pop those leaf miner leaves off, but we'll see what happens. Let's do a flyby of the okra and the, so here's some sweet basil that I'm gonna start propagating. Start cutting off the tops and putting into pots and stuff. The okra flowers are doing well. The okra plants are getting huge, which is great. I've thinned out the bed a whole bunch. I had a bunch of the other kind of basil. God, that basil smells so good. I had a bunch of that basil in there and I thinned it out so let everything get more sun, and it's doing okay. And I really believe that the basil is keeping the bugs off the okra. That okra right there is about harvesting size, because I'm going for pickling okra so that I can pickle them in mason jars, so I don't let them get very big. I am going to probably add some nutrients to the soil. Some of these are looking a little nitrogen deprived, but my understanding was with okra just to go ahead and to that they would do well in soil that wasn't really that fertile. But as you can see, we're getting good production out of the okra. I've got a bag in the freezer that I'm filling up, and then when it's full, we'll turn around, take it, and pickle it all. Pretty happy so far with this. Okay guys, here's a new garden bed that we just built, and you can see what I've done is I've taken some string, and I'm not sure how well it shows up on the film because it's green, but I took some paracord and I've measured off essentially a square foot gardening pattern. On the outside are square foot. On the inside, it's a little bit larger than a square foot because of the fact that the bed dimensions are not exactly divisible by 12 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some things like onions and stuff on the outside, and on the inside I'm going with cabbage and lettuce. And so here I have a Dutch cabbage. I have one sprouting right here. On the far end I've got a lettuce, and it is also sprouting, but the sprouts are wee little bitty. Here I've got some more of those multiplying onions, and they are all doing fine. I will probably transfer those multiplying onions over here and then let them go to town. On these two I planted some leeks. They may or may not germinate because it's too warm. And then the next two down are romaine lettuce, which also may not germinate yet because it's still warm. Again, I'm still experimenting with what works. Being a learning process, you know, I've never planted a fall garden before, so I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do this. Plus, my grow zone, 9A, Mississippi Gulf Coast, it's really kind of weird because right now we're still in the 90s. You know, the thermometer says it's 86 degrees, but the heat index says that it's, you know, 90 plus or 100. Then toward the end of September, our nights will start to cool off before our days do. And then rolling into October, we kind of all cool off at one time. But it'll be December, you know, mid to late December before we hit our first frost. So we should theoretically be able to grow cabbage, lettuce, onions, peas, broccoli, and everything without a problem coming into December. And that's what I'm hoping with those breakfast tomatoes, those Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes, is that they will do better as the season cools down. On the other side over there, I do have planted my sweet potatoes, and they appear to be doing really well. And what I'm going to do with them is go through and I'm going to make some the little sprigs, cut them off and then put them in the soil. And I'm just going to let them take over that whole area over there. And that will be just a sweet potato plot from here on out. Now, I haven't ever, well, I've eaten a few sweet potatoes, and I think the way I like them best is sweet potato fries. But they're a staple, calorie dense, and they're a good survival food. So I'll keep them. If I need them, I'll use them. If not, I'll just give them away. No big deal. And it's kind of like with the eggplant. I just wanted to prove to myself I could grow eggplant. I'm not really an eggplant eater. But, there's some grilled eggplant and stuff that I've seen recipes for that I'm going to try out. Put it in some ratatouille or something like that. And I'll learn to eat it. Basically, if I only planted what I ate, this would just be basically a potato garden. And I have to adapt and get better at that and eat better, and so that this will become more sustainable. Now, I believe, I'm doing it right, and I've learned a lot only because I'm out here doing it. So you should take a lesson from this. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want to about how to garden and how to be productive in this method, but you're not going to learn how to do it until you actually get out here and do it yourself, because you run into problems like the cabbage worm, the horned the hornworm caterpillar. This year our big problem was stink bugs, and last year I didn't see a stink bug. It was all aphids last year. So one setback after another, one lesson learned after another, and hopefully my next garden will be better than this garden. And it'll just keep progressing until I get it down to where I'm able to get consistent yields off of everything. So in the future, we're going to have a bed built right there, and then we may plow up some of this back here, so next year we could try some corn, and that's what we're headed. So I believe I will see you guys again in 2 weeks as far as a garden update. In between now and then, I've actually been harvesting some marigold seeds, and I will shoot a quick video to show you how to do that. So hopefully next year I don't have to buy marigolds from the store. I'll just be able to grow them myself. And I have two varieties, the orange and the yellow. I really like the orange ones, but I'll take either, especially if I can grow the seeds myself, and then I'll have free marigolds next year. So I believe that's it. I think everything is good. The squirrel patrol is happy. They're done messing around on my potato bed, and I'm happy about that. So garden update, lots going on, and we'll see you guys in about 2 weeks. So it's Carl. As always, get yourself a hobby. Guys, if you're going to get into gardening at all, you need to start now. If you haven't been to the store lately, prices are going crazy. It's not really the prices that we have to worry about. It's going to be soon. We're going to be running to availability of supplies is going to be hard to get. Russia stopped producing fertilizer, or they've limited their supplies of fertilizer. We certainly won't be their first customers on the fertilizer delivery list. So next year, commercial farmers are going to have a hard time getting crops to grow and getting crops in the field. So if you're not ready with your little backyard victory garden, you may be doing without, and or you may be paying an extraordinary amount for something that is very cheap today. So get ahead of the curve. Plus, it's a great hobby, good stress reliever. So there you go. Words are to live by from Carl, from Cultivate with Carl. We'll see you next time.